On today's episode, a prominent NFL insider reports that the Bengals and Joe Burrow may just be without a superstar wide receiver for the second straight week. Plus, Andy talks about the return of Hollywood Brown for the Chiefs in Week 2. We're also taking a quick look at the next possible contract extensions Brett Veach may just be working on. Welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We're back with another podcast for that ass.
Before we get the show started, make sure to hit that like button for your boys. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? We give you the best Chiefs content out there, so hit that button. Mike, let's break it down.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up.
The Chiefs square off against the Bengals in Week 2 in just 6 short days. And according to NFL insider Adam Schefter, they may be without one of their biggest weapons. Schefter appeared on the Pat McAfee Show earlier in the day today and was asked about wide receiver Tee Higgins and why he was doubtful late last week and just didn't play on Sunday. Schefter's answer sounds like Higgins will be lucky to be back versus the Chiefs in Week 2 as well. Take a look.
What's going on with Tee Higgins? Because he was doubtful late last week and then just didn't play.
Yeah. Hamstring injury. He got a hamstring injury, and we'll see how the week plays out, but I'll be surprised if he plays this week against the Chiefs.
The Bengals are already pretty hamstrung, if you will, with Jamar Chase choosing money over getting in shape over the past 4 weeks. It's also no surprise that the Bengals are notorious for being super slow starters. Since Zach Taylor has become head coach of the franchise in 2019, the Bengals have started poorly each of those 5 seasons, going just 1-9, with their lone win being over the Vikings in overtime by 3 points. Just yesterday, the Patriots, under a new coaching staff and coming off of a last place finish in the AFC East with a 4-13 record last year, took care of the Bengals in the season opener. Burrow also hasn't helped his cause over the first few weeks of the season, as yes, not only does he look like Macaulay Culkin off the field, but on it too. In weeks 1 and 2 over the past 4 seasons, Burrow has put up a 1-6 record with only 1,473 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, and a pedestrian passer rating of an 81.5. In comparison, Patrick Mahomes over that same time has went 5-2 with 2,100 yards passing, 18 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions thanks to Kadarius Toney, and a big-time passer rating of a 113. After the Chiefs shown that they may just be the most complete-looking team in Week 1 after a nice win over the Ravens, and the Bengals stumbled out of the gate yet again, it seems like the Chiefs should be in the driver's seat for a 2-0 start this season. Not to mention, we're sure one of the clowns on the Bengals roster will utter the words Burrowhead again, trying to appease their annoying-ass fan base, because it's mandatory for at least a few of them to act like complete jackasses. So with all of this info being thrown around, it's still going to be a tough battle, and you can almost guarantee that if there's one game a Bengals player, especially one as competitive as Tee Higgins, would amputate his own leg to play in, it's this one versus the Chiefs. Because yeah, it's the closest thing they're ever going to get to a Super Bowl. Also, shout out to ex-Chiefs punter Ryan Rakow, took a Chiefs player half a quarter to crack the lowly Bengals history book. Congrats.
Speaking of injuries and losses, it looks like the Chiefs might be on the good side of that one. Andy Reid reported that the team came out of the Ravens win pretty much unscathed. We even got some news about Hollywood Brown and his potential return for Week 2. Check out what Andy had to say at his presser earlier today.
With Tyreek, listen, everybody's different, but it's that same type of injury. He's getting close. I know he's feeling better. We've just got to kind of see where it goes from here. They've been doing these periodic tests on him and making sure that he's heading in the right direction and scans and all that. So, but it looks like it's heading in the right direction. Now we just have to see where it goes from there.
We know that's not a definite he's playing type of answer, but we've known all along that Week 2 was more than likely his possible return date. With that being said, it does sound like he's healthy enough to at least initiate testing with team doctors and therapists to test out that injury and see if he can make it back out on the field. After last week's game versus the Ravens, it does feel like the Chiefs could possibly wait on his return. Why rush him back when the passing game looks like it's returned to a bit of normalcy? Rashee Rice broke the century mark, catching 7 of 9 targets for 103 yards. The most important thing about Rice was the fact that he looked super quick, and may also be crowned the slant king, catching 4 balls for 75 yards on slants and in-breaking routes. He also had an impressive 78 yards after the catch as well. Kelsey was used sparingly, but still made an impact in the run blocking game, although everyone thinks only Kittle and Gronk can run block effectively. He also helped secure the pass that broke Lenny Dawson's all-time Chiefs passing yards record for Mahomes. If Hollywood Brown can get back and not re-injure himself, that would be great. However, judging by what we witnessed last Thursday, they may take the cautious route here and let him heal up at least one more week.
As the offseason rolled around roughly 7 months ago, for those of you living under a rock, the Kansas City Chiefs had some serious business to tackle. No, they weren't developing a new Brett Veach-inspired barbecue sauce recipe. They were focused on securing long-term contract extensions for some of their most valuable young players. After all, keeping the talent in-house is what the fans and the organization actually want.
Fast forward to the present, the Chiefs have officially kicked off the season. But hold on to your ass, folks. Two key players, linebacker Nick Bolton and right guard Trey Smith, are left standing on the proverbial dance floor, wondering if their names will be called when the music stops. Spoiler alert, it's been paused, and those contract extensions, they're still in limbo.
When it came time for roster construction and financial planning, both Bolton and Smith topped the to-do list presented by Chiefs manager Brett Veach. Alongside them were kicker Harrison Butker and center Creed Humphrey, basically the Fantastic Four of the Chiefs' future. Veach's grand plan? To sign these guys to long-term deals that will keep them in KC for a very long time. But for now, it seems like Smith and Bolton are playing the NFL version of musical chairs without any long-term security to sit on. Negotiations can be as tricky as trying to explain the offsides rule to people on X, especially with so many moving parts. Just ask wide receiver Tyreek Hill, who went from a probable extension to a traded asset faster than you can say pricey market reset. And who could forget the saga of Chris Jones? His negotiations felt like watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy on repeat for months. Overly dramatic and a lot of walking in circles.
This summer, the Chiefs began to tackle their financial commitments, starting with Butker landing a shiny new 4-year extension. Then, in a move that made fans cheer louder than a touchdown at Arrowhead Stadium, Humphrey signed a record-setting deal for centers. But just when it seems like the Chiefs were on a roll, news broke of another contract extension. This time for tight end Noah Gray. Surprise, Gray snagged a 3-year deal worth $19.5 million, complete with $10 million guaranteed, just hours before opening game kickoff. It's a smart move, locking up Gray, but it left fans scratching their heads wondering about Bolton and Smith. While it's fantastic news the Chiefs have signed their center, kicker, and tight end 2 of the foreseeable future, it's hard not to wonder what the future holds for Bolton and Smith. The Chiefs can resume negotiations whenever they feel like it, and it's important to note that no deadlines have been missed or grievances aired. Bolton and Smith are crucial to this Super Bowl contending team, and it's clear the Chiefs recognize their value. There's still a chance they could hammer out a deal now that the season is kicked off, but history tells us that most contracts are finalized during quieter months of the NFL calendar. Think of it as the calm before the storm, or perhaps the lull before the next round of tailgating.
If the Chiefs decide to hit pause on negotiations, it could mean they're willing to let the market dictate terms rather than risk overbidding against themselves. And with the guard market heating up, it's clear that getting Bolton and Smith signed won't come cheap. In the end, the gap between wanting a long-term contract and actually agreeing on the terms could be pretty significant. So for now, Bolton and Smith will just have to sit tight and see if the Chiefs are willing to pay top market value for two positions that are usually easier to replace than others. Only time will tell.
So surprise, surprise, the Bengals sucked ass cheeks in their first week of the NFL season because that's what they freaking do. But will they be any better come week 2, Mike? There's a lot of questions on the table. Will Tee Higgins be back from injury? Is Jamar Chase still going to be pouting that he's not getting paid more than Justin Jefferson? And do you think Hollywood Brown can make his return?
Yeah, I think a lot of things are true, Steve. Ever since they hired Zac Efron back in like 2016, 2017, they continually lose game 1, game 2. They've won one game. It was against the Vikings in overtime, Steve. Joe Burrow always looks like ass. He can't get it together, but you know, they're coming into Arrowhead and they will play the game of their lives because that's what they always do. This is their Super Bowl. They want to call it Burrowhead. This is just what they do. The fan base is annoying. The team's annoying. If they play one good game this year, we know without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to be on Sunday.
Yeah, but what about Hollywood Brown? Do you think they might get him back in time, or do you think they might be cautious with him?
If it were me making that call, I'd go ahead and let him set out one more week. I'd bring him back week 3. Versus the Ravens, Rashee Rice looked good, Xavier Worthy looked better than we thought he would, and we didn't even have to use Travis Kelce, to be honest. So I believe the offense is back. It's looking more high-octane. I don't think we have to rush him back. I would hate to bring him back early, get him re-injured again, and maybe it be more serious and him miss 8-10 weeks next time.
All right, let's move into some of the contract talk, Mike. We know that Harrison Butker, Noah Gray, and Creed Humphrey have all signed their deals, which leaves out Nick Bolton and Trey Smith. Mike, Trey Smith had a pretty decent game. Nick Bolton didn't look that good in week 1. How do you think this is all going to play out in the end?
Right. Well, they already said that Bolton would wait till the end of the season. He kind of wanted to take that approach. I think Trey's probably going to take that approach too. but I think Trey probably gets signed before Nick Bolton. And look, now that I said that, they'll announce Bolton signed tomorrow. But here's why I think that. One, guard is usually pretty easy to replace, but to be honest, the middle linebacker position is also kind of easy to replace. Bolton is pretty good against the run, but against the pass, he's been a liability throughout his career. I do think he is good. I think Spags relies on him. He's been a great leader. He's been a green dot. The dude can do everything. But to be honest, I think I would sign Trey Smith to a long-term deal before I spent big money on Bolton. I think if Bolton wants to come back, him and the Chiefs are going to have to find a middle ground here with the contract situation.
I think both of the guys are super important to the team. Our inside offensive line has been one of the top in the entire league for so long now. You'd hate to bust up something like that.
Right.
But then again, Nick Bolton's been your green dot. He's been calling the defense. Spags has so much faith in him, which makes me have faith in him as well. So I think they'll look for a way to get both of those contracts done. We'll just have to wait and see. So this is where we'll pass it off to you guys. Get in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling about the Bengals matchup next week at Arrowhead. Also, who do you think will get signed back first? Will it be Nick Bolton or Trey Smith?
That's going to wrap it up for today. Thanks for liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. We'll catch you next time. Go Chiefs.